So I think we have come across a very special place full of very special kitty cats.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go. My cousin Carl, Curbdigger Carl, if you know him from the online world. Hey, it's George the Antique Nomad, and I'm with my cousin today. We're doing some thrifting, we're doing some flea market shopping. You'll see under the sign of BIFF Burger here. It's this cool old 50s, 60s era roadside place in St. Pete, one of the oldest continuing businesses in town as far as restaurants go. I think it's been here since the late 50s or early 60s. And a small flea market has started here in order to make up for the fact that the big flea market's closed and have not reopened. So I'm going to take a look with my cousin who's over at the table already shopping there. But first I need to show you this, because those of you who don't live in sunny climes and semi-tropical places like here may not have seen a jackfruit before. They're big, they're messy, they're delicious. They do grow them in South Florida. Okay, well, Carl already moved on from that table, so I see produce, I see used goods. We're going to see if there's anything that we can find bargains on for resale. Lots of jewelry here, but this looks newer than what I do. And it looks like we've got some of the farmers here. Might have to pick up some produce while we're at it. This fellow has tools. So they did get some of the old stuff, and it looks like, oh, I'm betting there's a bunch of fish in here. Oh yes, here fishy. Ah, interesting, fish at the flea market. Coconuts, so there's lots of cool things here, but will I find anything vintage? Well, my guess is in here is going to be our best shot, so let's take a look. Carl is a speed shopper. He looks for particular things and he knows vintage, so I'm going to follow him, because if he's already been to the other ones and didn't see anything, well, that tells me I don't need to bother. Here we go. Very famous print of the gal with the bird there.
Colorado, about 70 pounds of black Resale that I used for the only thing I saw on the skillet, brittle. That I saw. He worked for the newspaper 37 I never used it. It was more for hand.
Let's see what this is. Okay, this is Royal Worcester. It's a cute pattern. Well, let's see if there's any old stuff over here. I see one blue vase I like, and possibly a piece of Blanco, although it may not be. A bunch of old books, but not old enough for what I do. Nope, that's not Blanco. That's some newer piece of glass, probably offshore. You can tell the offshore, yep, made in China. See the big polish on the bottom, especially the double polish? They polish it smooth, but it's always a rather quick job, so they're big, ugly polish marks like that. That's got a nice shape, but it feels greasy like new glass too, so I don't think that's old.
The internet, I'm a writer as well.
Okay, here's a pile of random jewelry, but I don't see anything old in it.
Right.
And then they just started an actual print for Friday.
Sunday, the newspaper.
Oh, that's kind of neat with the straight-sided Coca-Cola glass. That's got to be 1920?
I think so. I don't know how to date these. I know the bottles.
Yeah.
1920.
1920. Huh, cool.
Good.
Nice guess. Okay, so show us the book you got.
It's a Jim Morrison
collection of his poetry, but this was written and published while he was still alive.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
In 1970, I don't know exactly when.
And there you go, 1969, 1970. And the important thing is it's a first printing and it's got the dust jacket. And it was one of his, it was when he really started to publish his own poetry separate of being in the doors, I think. And he did an album called An American Prayer that was mostly poetry. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it was half price, so what'd you pay? $1. And we just looked it up and it is worth approximately $125.
Excellent.
So, and the guy said, yeah, I liked when you asked him, oh, do you have other Jim Morrison stuff? And he pointed to new stuff and he's like, I don't care about it, I just got it out of a storage locker.
Yeah, it does have foxing, but I definitely plan to read it first.
Yeah, it's got the foxing on the edges like Florida books often do, but you know, he spent time with his grandparents in Clearwater, so people around here were aware of him.
Did he go to high school here?
Well, he sort of sat at the library drinking with his friends, according to the librarian that they interviewed. There was some old librarian who'd been there forever, and they built some statue or monument to him in front of the library, and she was like, oh, I remember when he and his friends would come and drink vodka, and we'd have to throw them out.
Excellent.
This one does a lot of overstock, rescue from, like, strangely enough, if a truck full of this stuff has an accident and the insurance writes it off, they'll save and salvage the stuff that isn't damaged and that ends up at flea markets like this. Sometimes it's overruns. There's probably room for some retail arbitrage here if you knew what you were looking for, but that's not my game. I'm looking for old stuff. We are out on a thrifting junket. We're freestyling. We're just hitting places that we haven't seen before, garage sales, a couple of thrift stores, and a little miniature flea market, and we're just going to see what we can find. And one of the places that we have found today is this really interesting vintage thrift store. I'm just going to give you a sneak peek at the outside now, and we'll come back to here in a little bit. This gal does props for bars, she does haunted houses, she has propped for weddings, obviously not quite like this. This is a little more in the macabre Halloween-y old year is going away kind of tradition, but it's really fun. You can tell that she takes a lot of oddball, leftover, disparate things. Some are antique, some are vintage, some are just falling apart junk, and yet she makes something really interesting out of them. So I am really looking forward to going inside this store, which we'll do in a little bit. Well, there's feline greeters at this place. This is, oh, there's another one. It's called What Goes Around Vintage Thrift Shop. So I think we have come across a very special place full of very special kitty cats. But look at this place. So this side is vintage, it's thrift, it's home decor, it's resale. It's also having a lot of fun with Raggedy Ann. There's a handsome looking old clock.
Yeah, I got.
And then if you're going to be a cyborg, a $6 million something, why not be Omega Girl? Although I have to admit the eye reminds me of Robot Chicken. Oddities here, obviously. And then there's some cool old stuff. This is an old microscope holder being used as a mirrored back display. There's a lot of repurposing here and some really clever repurposing. Here's a cute kitty cat looking into fishbowl. Music box, little jewelry drawer, 1970s. $20 on that. That seems reasonable for what it is. Trophies. Trophies are popular if they're an older style, and these have sort of a good look because they're just the Ford hunt, pass, and kick competition that the NFL would put on for kids back in the 70s and 60s. But it's metal, and it's a good style. It's very modern-ish. They're only $8. I might pick one of those up.
And I actually found a death certificate.
Alabama.
Yeah, I found it on the ground. Because I love that shit too.
Yeah,
All the
like
dark.
anything-
Oh my
yep,
gosh.
anything dark and
Yes. I was like, ooh, that. I thought it was a birth certificate. I'm like, nope, that's a death certificate.
cool.
Not that I'm gonna.
A lot of fun things, and a fun owner. This is Karen Cuervo, who is talking to my cousin Carl about interesting things like his t-shirts that he does, which are
The
old Victorian
Soreno go-to
looking things like the signs we just saw. Here's a neat set. This is
bought him. He's my cousin. I
blue,
bought,
and it is not Fenton. It is older than that. This looks like a set from the early 1900s.
Oh, this book was 66,
Ah.
1964.
Okay, this has a mark on it. This is going to be 1940s in all likelihood. You can see on the inside it says Vallerysthal, which is French.
this one, and it's not coming out clear, but it's an old advertisement.
The Vallerysthal set for $15 seems like a really good deal, and I'm going to get it.
I'll go through online catalogs of
That
old
is
books.
cool.
There's not much on embalming.
That is really cool.
But I'll actually send you my Redbubble site
Yeah,
and check,
please
but I'll
do.
send government site.
Little furniture underneath. You really have to look in a place like this because they display on a display. I like these little Italian tables. This one is a music box in all likelihood. It may not be wound or it may not work. We'll find out.
Oh, like Dante's
I feel no winding knob, so I don't believe that this works.
That's cool.
So this site is free. You type in like debt, and then you'll be.
They're great for display at antique shows, though, because you can unscrew those legs and they fit in a small space, so I still might be interested if it's very inexpensive. Most of this is newer, but resale. She does have some clothing, actually a pretty good rack in the middle of the store. And then the sexiest lamp ever, as it says, for $250. But look at this thing. These huge, pendulous red baubles. Because just the whorehouse shade wasn't enough to get the message across. It is just fantastically over the top. Love it. And this whole store is that way. This is not everybody's taste, I understand, but I have to say I find it really fun. I just like seeing somebody's personality come out in all sorts of crazy ways that are weird and interesting and different, and really find an eclectic way to make a whole lot of stuff look interesting and engaging in one place. Well, it's no surprise that she's got this look to what she does, because Karen apparently also props for bars and nightclubs and haunted houses for Halloween. So it's really appropriate that she has a shop that reflects all of this fun in this way. And yet there's some neat, serious collectible stuff in the middle. This is Turkey Creek. This is a local artist to the Gulf Coast, Carol Ann Carn, and that's priced at $50, which is pretty reasonable for that artist. There's another one of hers as well. This is cool. Look at the use of the old binoculars. This is $75. A local artist using old industrial pieces in an interesting new way. Having moved from Michigan to St. Petersburg, Florida, Sandy Thomas Kelly has been a resident of the Tampa Bay area for over 50 years. Well, that almost makes you a local by now, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got more cool things to show you, hopefully. We'll have some more finds along the way, but really quickly I just wanted to say thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. It helps us a lot. And if you're interested in a membership, there's a couple different levels, and you can see a video in my playlist about that, or hit join. You can also click that thumbs up button to like this video, and please hit the bell to be notified of future videos. But now let's get back to this one.
Next, we are going to try the SUNCOAST Hospice Resale shop. There's 2 of these in this area, and the hospice resale is usually pretty good. I think sometimes because they're dealing with older people that some of the folks out of gratitude donate their stuff to them. And so they get a nice selection, and we'll see what they've got today. One thing that's nice about this place is they're really good about the way they lay things out. So you can really see things. They've got the art and the furniture nicely arranged. This is a 70s rattan table and chair set here for $129, which seems like a pretty good price, and it's got that style. You can tell the 70s because of the color and the rounder shapes, as opposed to the 80s where they kind of squared everything off.
So we're going to give this chain store a try. We haven't been going to many chain thrifts because the little ones are often more interesting to me, but we will see. This is a big store. This replaced the former flagship store in St. Petersburg, and I'm hoping that because it's so big that we're going to see some things that aren't just dollar store stuff like the smaller Goodwills up in the north part of the county seem to favor. So let's go in and hope to find something cool. Well, this place is certainly big enough, and there's lots and lots of clothes. And a job connection section, and yeah, it looks like they've got everything. So let's go see. Well, this is exactly what I mean about Goodwill being a dollar store. I mean, all of this stuff is brand new. Now that's fine and good if that's what you came for, but I can go anywhere and find brand new stuff. I'm looking for vintage. So let's see as we walk through if we can find something. Here's the sign I'm looking for. It says donated, so maybe we'll find some old stuff here. Okay, well, I see used goods at least. Aha, there's something older. This is Francoma in the flame glaze that was very popular in the 70s. It's got a big old Horkin chip on it, so nope, that's not going to do. Any art or pictures or prints? There's an original looking watercolor with a signature. Not an important artist, but pleasant. You know, again, we're just looking at new mattresses, new rugs, new lamps, new lamp shades, new sheets. I mean, this really is basically turned into a department store. And that is not what I am looking for when I go thrifting. Here's a bunch of blue bubble glass. Bubble was originally known as Provincial by Anchor. It's a common pattern, and they didn't make a ton of varied pieces in it. But it's a fun 1960 era pattern in a sweet color if you like to decorate your table that way. One Culver glass. If they had a set of these, I'd be very excited. $2 on that. The old Uncola glasses from the 1970s. The reason for this shape is that Coca-Cola glasses were this shape. Well, this is the Uncola, so it had to be different. 7-Up got smart in the 70s and figured out that trying to be like cola was not their thing and that they needed to be different, and that's what would make people want to buy their products. So I think that's a good lesson for us all. Be yourself, be different, and you will find success. Vive la différence. Here's blue thumbprint or king's crown by Indiana Glass from the 1970s. It's a nice deep color. Those little sizes are hard to sell for me though. I like port wine, but not many people drink that, and that's about the size of it. Now this would be fun if there was a whole set. This looks like something out of the 80s, judging by the colors. But once again, Goodwill in St. Petersburg seems to basically be a store. It's a dollar store. It's brand new stuff. They have rows and rows of the same thing. It is not interesting for thrifters, and I will probably not waste my time coming back to them because every Goodwill I've gone into here lately looks like this. It's like they basically waited for home goods or old-time pottery to be done with their season and then bought everything that was left. And I mean, look at this. The prices aren't even anything really great. You can get a bag of peanuts at the mini mart anytime for 99 cents. I think the thing that annoys me the most about Goodwill being essentially a brand new store just like any other is that I donated a bunch of stuff from an estate sale a few weeks ago here, and it wasn't so great that it all should be gone. It should be on the sales floor. So what happened to it? I'd really like to know. So I think I'm done with Goodwill in this area. Goodwills are great for thrifters looking for antique and vintage in some places, but this place is just retail arbitrage, and that's someone else's game. And besides which, retail arbitrage only works if they're actually selling something cheap enough that you can make money on it. Well, we're going to try someplace more fun than Goodwill, and that is the Sunshine Thrift Store. At least I think it'll be fun. I've never been to this one, but I know that it's a small chain in the area, and I find the small chains and the independents seem to have vintage stuff. Well, they have a lot of clothing and soft goods. I can see that right away. And wow, that's something I don't deal in a lot. I will look to see if I notice anything that looks old in Hawaiian shirts. Like red fishies. Yeah, that's Columbia sportswear. Shirts galore, but they have housewares and things back there, so let's go look. Oh, a daily bread plate. These were very popular in the 70s. I guess that's why it's harvest gold colored. Holland mold, so somebody made that one. But it's only $1.91, so I can see that the prices are right here at least. And I do see things that look like they were not made 10 minutes ago. So that's great. Here's some old vinyl. Ooh, the Bay City Rollers. Yes, singing while on roller skates. That was a fad that lasted about 5 minutes. Ray Price. Shannon, let the music play dub version. Emergency Records. I have no idea who this artist is. I don't know if it's anything that would be anything, but this is an obviously obscure small label. And that's something to look for, because if it's a record company you haven't heard of, there's a chance that it's something that was re-released later by a big record company, and that's what people are going to look for. Golden Hits of the Smothers Brothers, Volume 2. Look at the woman painted in gold. That's crazy. Boomtown Records, The Hometown Boys with Chicken Heads. Contains explicit lyrics. Okay, so that's from the 80s. We know that. This is Miami. This is a part of town where there's a more mixed race group of people, which is great because it means that you have a chance to find some different kind of things that you don't see everywhere, especially in music. And while it may not be my music, it's somebody's music. And that makes it worth taking a look to see if there might be a sleeper in here. Well, the Hometown Boys may have gone back to their hometown. I don't see anything recent in terms of sales. But I see people asking between $10 and $100 for this band. And this came out of Miami. It makes me think somebody might know something about this. I have to admit, I'm kind of tempted. I have a friend who's a record guy, but this isn't really his music either, so I'm not sure he'll know it, but I might just get it and take a chance. And sure enough, Shannon, on the emergency records label, sells for around $12 to $15. It's the original pressing apparently, and it's Dance and Electronica, which I figured. So the cover's a little soiled, but we'll take the record out and see what kind of shape it's in before we decide one way or another. I'm doing a big no-no, which is touching it with my fingers. Okay, but it looks like I'm not the first. Bunch of stuff scratched in here. It's smoking, it's fresh, let it play. This must have been sent out as a promo, I'm guessing. Yeah, this is potentially interesting. It's a little dirty, and the cover's dirty. I'm going to see if I can find one in comparable condition, and if it seems okay, I think I'm going to get that. Maybe I'll become a big fan, you never know. I've discovered music in stranger ways. There's an obscure band out of Washington, D.C. called Jawbox that I found in a thrift store, and that's one of my favorite albums. Oh, and look, Captain and Tennille, Love Will Keep Us Together. Unfortunately, they got divorced, but I think the dogs are still together. I have to say the Sunshine Thrift Store was a lot more fun than the name brand big thrift stores. So I am just going to stick to the smaller thrift stores in this area. And real quickly while I'm thinking about it, if you would hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, it helps us, doesn't cost a thing. And hit thumbs up to like this video and click the bell and you'll be notified of future videos. So that's it, and let's get back to this one. Well, at least we see a picture of an antique. I see some old prints. There's an Edward Curtis. Now this one's a reprint, of course. His original stuff and even the things from his 1970s poster book can be rather valuable. The houseware section is rather small, so we'll see if there's anything in here for us. These are newer Fiesta when they have that mark on the bottom. They're only priced at $4 though, so it's a good price. There's some Pyrex, a little bit worn out. Here's some Pyrex that isn't, and this has the mushrooms. And I like this pattern, and I'm selling mushroom pattern. They're priced at $4 and $6, which isn't exactly a super bargain, but I might consider those. Mr. Owl, looking very wise, not old, but at least entertaining looking. Let's see what these square dishes down here are. I always love square dishes. I think they're newer though. Yeah, I think so. They feel like it. Are these old cafe ware? No, Farber ware. Vieux Gray de la Tour. And here's a bunch of Fiesta mugs in newer colors. Only 99 cents a piece. I have a feeling these are worth buying. I'm going to take a look. The only problem with the Fiesta ware is the shipping costs. If people buy them individually, just eats up all your profit. It's different now with prices going up. This is Theodore Haviland, made in America, but the Haviland name was adopted to keep the Haviland name going when Haviland could not send things here during the Second World War. Here's some pink depression glass. Roosters for the wall, right out of the 60s, but they have big chips, so not going to go for those. I may not have found anything to buy at this St. Vincent, but at least there were old things to look at. So I know who's getting my donations in the future. I am sending them here. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.